Greetings, it is I, the Anax. It has been some time since my last upload, and with good reason. I have been quite busy working hard to finish my fourth massive interactive novel, Cult of Corruption. However, I am now working on the final scenes, and I am ahead of schedule, so I had some time to do another community spotlight. I reached out to Dollmistress back around November, but she's been missing in action, so to speak, and I decided I would reach out to some of my other favorite creators. I shall do their episodes in the order that they got back to me. The first one to respond was Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper creates erotic interactive novels akin to my own, and you can find his many works at Transformation Games. He has several to choose from, and his writing style is truly top-notch. His stories can be quite different from title to title, and his programming skills are quite apparent to anyone that plays his titles. Let's take a quick look at them, shall we? Inheritance. This title has the reader take on the role of a character whose uncle has passed away and left them with a couple of slave girls. It's up to the reader to decide what they shall do with the inheritance given. The Puppet Master. This interesting title has the reader take on the role of a live-in nurse that cares for an invalid old man. Yet, just because someone is disabled physically, it does not mean they are powerless. Choose your path very carefully in this dark tale. Futa Apocalypse. For those of you that like transformations of gender and such, you might find this title particularly pleasing. It is a tale about a virus that has virtually wiped out humanity, at least in its current form, from the Earth. You play as one of the struggling survivors in a virus-riddled world. Lastly, we have The Allure of Wanton Cove, which is a macabre tale in which the reader plays as a gumshoe out to discover the truth of a missing person. One finds oneself traversing an island town where debauchery and defilement erodes the populace. This title does have gender transformation, and I would say that the world has a gritty, strange Lovecraftian feel to it. I recommend at least trying it out. This game also has been finished by Gatekeeper, and it is a vast story indeed. But where are my manners? Perhaps this would be a good time for an interview. Here we are, Gatekeeper. Thank you for joining me in the Shadowlands today.
Thank you for inviting me to join you. It's a pleasure to be here today.
By the way, congratulations on reaching version 1.0 of Wanton Cove.
Thank you. It's an incredible feeling to reach this milestone. 333,000 words of content written over a 3-year span of time. Finally seeing the main narrative of the game complete is satisfying, to say the least. I'm very excited to get to work on the other stories I hope to tell within the game's setting.
I always like to ask first, how did you discover you had a mind control fetish?
That's a hard question to answer. I was raised on horror movies as young as I can remember, and zombie movies were always the most chilling to me as it stripped away humanity and left a savage husk of a person in its place. Or Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where you begin to wonder if the people around you are truly who you know, or if they're something else. Something about losing yourself to something else, whether through mind control or something else, has been a morbid fascination of mine since my childhood.
What inspired you to create your first title, and what pushes you to continue creating projects?
Truthfully, I've loved to write since late grade school. But back then it was mostly short stories. What inspired me to create my first game title? Well, that answer comes with a bit of a story. A few years ago, guess it's been about 7 to 8 years now, I was working a factory job and smashed a disc in my spine. Needless to say, having ADHD and being unable to walk without assistance is not a good combination. Effectively being a captive in my own body resulted in me being in a very dark place for a while. However, as a way to try to distract me from my depression, I started writing again for the first time in a very long time. While I dabbled over on ChooseYourOwnAdventure.com a bit with some writing, the first project that took on game form was Future Apocalypse. Kind of a zombie apocalypse style story with she-males. Unfortunately, I really had no idea of what I was doing from a game design standpoint, and the game became almost impossible to work on because of poor planning and design. I eventually moved it to the back burner and have plans to return to the setting someday. What drives me more than anything to create? It's got to be the fans. There's something profound and powerful about knowing you have created something that others enjoy. To see thousands of downloads of my projects every week is kind of surreal. Instead of working some factory job somewhere, I create games that bring people countless hours of enjoyment. What drives me more than anything to create? It's got to be the fans. There's something profound and powerful about knowing you have created something that others enjoy. To see thousands of downloads of my projects every week is kind of surreal. Instead of working some factory job somewhere, I create games that bring people countless hours of enjoyment.
Why did you choose the medium you chose? That is, why HTML over others?
I'm a writer. While there are a lot of game-making programs out there, Twine was one of the easiest to learn the basics of. That, and after talking with a few people about the program, I learned that it is a program capable of a lot if I ever wanted to create something more complicated. Besides, there's a really great community of people who work with the program, and I've been fortunate enough to meet some incredibly talented coders who have been a huge help along the way.
How do you come up with the ideas that you use?
My mind is a dark and terrible place. All I need to do is put pen to paper and most days content will almost write itself. Seriously though, I tend to start with a core idea and roll that idea around in my head for a few days, or even weeks. Let's use the allure of Wanton Cove as an example. In this case, I wanted to create a Lovecraftian horror game. I'm familiar with Lovecraft's work and wanted to share in his mythos, so I used that as a starting point. For that, I came up with a couple of small ideas about what I may like to create. I basically daydream within the setting, getting a feel for the world and what is happening, and from there most of my story ideas take on a life of their own.
How much time do you spend on a weekly basis working on your projects?
Between 40 and 60 hours a week. I probably average 2 to 3 hours a day answering messages. Those messages range from fan mail to forum posts, to bug reports. Bug fixes can range wildly but can take upward of 10 hours some weeks. Add 20 to 30 hours of writing and coding. Plus a few hours talking with coders who sometimes help me with artists about commissions and doing a little writing on the side for games like Girl Life, Femsum, and The Therapist from time to time, and I can stay pretty busy some days.
I believe Inheritance is your next project. After that, do you have more planned?
Yes, Inheritance is my next project. It's in early development right now, though the project already has well over 50k words of content and is steadily growing. I actually have several additional projects planned. As I mentioned above, I'd like to return to the Future Apocalypse setting eventually. I'm also working on a project named Aftermath in the background, which is a post-apocalyptic setting reminiscent to the Fallout games in theme. Then there's the sequel I've been thinking about doing for Wanton Cove. And, well, there's a few others, but I think you get the idea. The short version is that any time I have an idea that may make a good story, I jot down a few notes and flesh out the idea a little bit. When I near completion of one project, I take a look at my list of potential projects and pick out something that inspires me.
Have you omitted any scenes from your games? And if so, why?
Absolutely not. When I write, I have a vision for a project. I won't remove content just because someone might take offense. Omitting content would be as bad as ripping a page out of a well-loved book. That page may not be important in the big scheme of things, but that book is no longer complete without it. I may revise a scene every great once in a while, but if I write it, then it's a part of that story, and as such it belongs in the game.
What have you learned about yourself through creating these titles?
That I'm in desperate need of therapy. The kicker is that getting that therapy would put me out of a job.
Do you ever find yourself hitting a mental block? How do you overcome it?
I actually try to work on 2 projects at any given time. For example, I've been working on Inheritance for more than a year now, and I typically alternate my time between it and Wanton Cove. Anytime I feel myself unexcited about working on a project, or why experience a bit of writer's block, I can shift my attention to the other project for a few hours, then come back to where I was stuck when I'm ready.
Do you have any advice for anyone wanting to create a project?
There are a lot of people out there who are willing to give advice, and if you ask 100 creators for advice, odds are pretty good you'll get at least half that many different answers. Look at the advice given, adopt what feels right, and discard the rest. After all, what works for one creator may not always work for the next person, and only you will know what's going to work best for you.
What have been the largest obstacles in regards to creating your games?
Finding a healthy balance between work and family. I love to write, and would do so all day every day if given a chance. Sometimes I just need to find my off switch, turn off the computer for a few hours, and spend some time with the people I love most in this world.
Yes, I understand. I don't even know if I have an off switch. What advice do you have for folks wanting to create mind control games?
There is something almost hypnotic about watching someone lose control even as they struggle to hold on to who and what they are. Never forget to get inside the head of those being controlled, explore their struggle and loss of self-control. You're exploring the loss of self either consciously or unconsciously, and it loses much of its impact without the context of the transformation they are undergoing.
Other than your own games, what is your favorite mind control fetish project from our community, and why?
There are some really exceptional games on this site. It's hard to pick just one. But I won't cop out and give you a non-answer. If I had to pick just one, it would be something unlimited by Sunset Riders 7. I could talk about how the writing is fun, the setting is well done, or how much I enjoy the art in the game, but it's probably got more to do with my crush on Miss Martian than anything else.
Does your family or significant other support or even know about your fetish or all your games?
In a limited context, yes. All of my family knows about my sometimes peculiar taste in horror, though few know that it sometimes has a sexual element to it. My family knows that I create games, and they know that Wanton Cove is a horror tale. Beyond that, they haven't asked for details, and I haven't volunteered any.
Thank you, Gatekeeper, for all your hard work and for taking time to spend with me today.
It has been a pleasure. I have enjoyed our little talk a great deal. Have yourself a wonderful evening.
So, there you have it, friends. Those of you that never played any of Gatekeeper's games might want to check them out, and those of you that were already his fans now know a bit more about Gatekeeper than you did. I have a few more of these community spotlights set up for the future, and I shall release them as I have time. Oh, speaking of which, if you desire to help me reach my goal of doing my art, writing, and YouTube for a living, then please invest in my Patreon. For now, I return you to the land of the living, and I shall bid you goodbye. Until next time.